Welcome to Journey to Justice. I'm Eiko Kusasa, your host for today. Recently, I interviewed Pono Kealoha, a media artist and independent journalist. He is a prolific video reporter. If you miss a rally or a protest or hearing or just want to understand more on an issue, just search for ponosize on YouTube and you will find his channel with his reports. That is Ponosize. In this interview, Pono reflects on his life and his way of thinking. I hope you enjoy the show.
I was born on Maui. I was put up for adoption. Single mother at the time, although my father had some Hawaiian too. I'm Hawaiian Chinese, Caucasian. Um, I was adopted, brought to Oahu when I was 5 days old. So I was born in Maui, Wailuku, Maui, and brought over here. My parents are both not Kanakamo'oli, both from the mainland. Well, I slapped my face because it's not a mainland, because my mainland is here. Again, sorry, conditioning.
Yeah.
You understand, yeah. It's hard to get out of. They're from Turtle Island. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very grateful to my parents. They gave me nothing but love. I mean, total love. They always were open about me being adopted, and I was fortunate because a year after I was born, my same mother but a different father had my sister, and they got in contact with my parents, and so they were able to pick her up too. So I have a half sister.
Oh.
So she's doing fine. She's up in Arizona right now. She's a year younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a family going on up there, Navajo. So I have a niece and a nephew that are Kanakalo. Anyway, it's all G.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up, my earliest years that I can remember would be in San Jose when I was about going on 3. And then my dad was with IBM. Both my dad and mother met at a church on Oahu. And this church is actually right across from Thomas Square, which, First
Church.
United Methodist Church. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but it was kind of interesting because what Thomas Square stands for and what this church was doing was giving free lunch to all the service people, all the service troops that were coming off the ship, since right then was, still an ongoing thing with the Japanese and the war,
World War II?
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, they met, they got married. My mom couldn't have babies, so they adopted me and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
My dad worked for IBM. He was moved to San Jose from Hawaii and then to Denver, Colorado. So I went to preschool, kindergarten, first grade in Denver, Colorado. My first grade teacher was Mrs. Friend. No, I'm sorry, my kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Friend. My first grade was Mrs. Pancake.
Wow. Thank you.
You can't forget that.
Yeah.
You talk about a kid. So we had all the Mr. Syrup, and then they went down Maple Lane. We had all those funny things going. So that was basically it. My dad, when I was about ready to get into the second grade, my dad told me that he was offered a position in Taiwan. They were just opening an IBM plant there. And how did I feel about travel? And I was gung-ho. I was a kolohi boy. I was off and running in every which direction. And I was just getting into insects, and I knew that they had exotic butterflies with brilliant colors, so I was sold. And big beetles with huge jaws, all of which my sister can't stand insects, so it's even more that I wanted to go. So I loved it. So sure enough, we went over there, and it was quite interesting because once there is when I now understand what a gated community actually was.
Oh.
Because that's exactly where we were, with these huge stone walls with broken glass on the top, and it wasn't to keep me in. And that's where I understood exactly what gated communities were. Right down the road, you'd have gutters going down there where the other unfortunate people would have to use the bathroom. We had indoor plumbing. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So how long were you in
I was
Taiwan?
there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, a full year. Basically, got second grade. And it was an awesome experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I had a checking account.
In the second grade?
Yeah. Not a checking, I had an account where I watched the Popeye show where Wimpy would say, give me this today, I'll pay you on Tuesday.
Right.
So I had one at the store down the road and the firecracker store across the way. And I had a massive, I'd come out of with skyrockets bigger than me. And I had no idea how to, I was a terror, man. I was a living terror. I was smoking cigarettes. I'd be trying my dad's cigarettes. I'd sneak it out of his drawer.
You were kolohe.
I was, well, you know, supposedly my dad wasn't supposed to be smoking. So he had them hidden in there.
Oh, so you knew where.
Yeah, well, like I said. So.
Yeah. So then where did you, do most of your growing up in Hawaii?
Well, okay. We were, after a year there, my dad had a vacation time coming.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a meeting, or supposedly a meeting in Hong Kong. And we were to fly to Hawaii, and he was going to meet us there. About 2 weeks later, a couple of gentlemen in black suits came to the hotel door. Well, actually, I don't know. They were there when I got there. I walked into the hotel room, and they were already in there. My sister and my mom were crying uncontrollably, and I had no reason what was going on. And then one of the guys pulled me to the side and said that my dad committed suicide and that I had to be the man of the house.
Wow.
What a trip, yeah.
In your third grade.
Second grade. Well, yeah, going on. Well, I think.
Well, small. Yeah. Wow.
So my mom decided to stay here because she wanted me to get to know about my culture and to appreciate it. And she loved Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So she basically, for her 95 years, stood by doing everything she could in her way to try and make sure that
Wow.
I'd get to know who I am and what I'm about.
Wow. That's very nice.
Yeah.
So then, how did you come to political consciousness?
I was kind of there on the doorstep. I knew about some of the players in the field, and basically that something was not right, that we were not American.
But how old were you? I mean, was this
No,
way
this
into
came,
adulthood
this,
or in
no, this
teenage?
came about teenage. I started getting this off and that off, but I paid no heed to it. It wasn't part of my circle.
Okay.
And it didn't really come in until later on, probably when I had a cousin, Kealoha, a Moe. She was with Walter Reedy guys. They went over to Kaho'olawe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was my awakening as far as what was about, what was going on. But I really didn't have any so-called dedication or
Yeah.
anything to really get me solid into it.
Yeah.
Um, but I was aware of it.
Mhm.
Later on, I married. Well, I didn't marry. I have 3 children.
Mhm.
My wife is a Caucasian.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the Caucasians are basically all related, and they're well
Yeah.
known throughout the island.
Yeah.
Um, she was a military brat. Her father is a one-star general now. In the what do they call that? National Guard.
Mhm.
Um, when we had our children, uh, I was starting to get a little bit more into it and more into it through just different readings and what's seeing also noticing the differences between what was happening to my people and what was happening to the other people.
Mhm.
I kind of noticed that there was more targeting and more things being taken away.
Mhm.
Uh, as my children, well, let me rewind just a little bit. She had a daughter when I first met her. Her daughter is half Korean. She married a Korean in Wahiwa, Choi,
Mhm.
who was a local Korean. Um, he was on the SWAT team, not SWAT, SEAL team.
Oh.
They went over to Iran to go rescue the hostages during Carter times, and they shot
Ah.
each other up. He was one of the casualties. He was basically brain dead, brought over as a vegetable, and it was her decision whether to pull the cord.
Wow.
So when I came into their life, the daughter was about almost 3.
Uh huh.
So I basically kind of kicked in as the father
Mhm.
and been with them ever since.
Mhm.
I didn't have 2 other children,
Mhm.
another daughter and another son. Um, I didn't get really politically activated until my children, they got great grades in elementary school, both of them.
Mhm.
They were top of the class. But when they went into 7th, they started to teeter down. And going on, they kept on falling down, down, down. And no matter what I was trying, they were hanging around the wrong people. I was working a lot more, but still, as far as they were doing everything that they were taught not to. And
Mhm.
I couldn't understand it. They had no desire to learn. They were cutting school, not turning in the work,
Yeah.
hanging around the wrong people.
Yeah.
Trying to get them out of bed just to get ready for school was even a chore,
Yeah.
And it got to the point where they flunked. My youngest
Mhm.
flunked. My middle was looking at flunking.
Mhm.
And I had a family member who was, this is when charter schools were just starting.
Yeah.
So the first charter school that opened up over here, they had a sister one up on the Big Island, Halaulakahi.
Mhm.
My cousin was saying, hey, you got to get your kid into this. This is the one that's happening. This is what it's about. But because nobody knew what charter schools were, so
Yeah.
what is this charter school? Is it like a special ed type thing?
Yeah.
I couldn't understand
Yeah.
I had no concept exactly what it was about.
Mhm.
But, you know, like I said, last straw. You know, I told them, you guys got to do this, or I'm going to yank you out of your school. And sure enough, they didn't do it. So I yanked them out and I put them into charter school. Fighting them all the way. No, my friends, all
Yeah.
this, all this.
Yeah.
Within 3 days, their whole personality had changed.
Wow.
It was like somebody turned on the light. I didn't have to wake them up for school. They'd have to travel at least an hour by bus to
Yeah.
get, and their school, they didn't have schools. They had a tent out at Palama Settlement, right there, right behind those white buildings,
Yeah.
right in the
Yeah.
back. That was the beginning of Halaulakahi Charter School.
Wow. Wow.
And through that, it's like I said, how they changed, just the passion that they had, how they treated themselves, but also how they treated others. Everything was, it was like somebody, they did a whole totally 180.
Yeah.
And it just totally blew me away.
Yeah.
And how I got all these good reports of, wow, you know, your kids are so fantastic. They're like sponges, they're soaking it up. And the method of how they were teaching, it was a hands-on. It's not like you read here and they do this and they do that. They do it.
Yeah.
And that's was the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was using our culture, but updating it to deal with today's situations and lives. And doing that, the whole growing as a one, it was like a ohana. It was like a family. It just blew me away. And these teachers were teaching for free. When they first started, they had no income, nothing. But it was because the children were falling through the cracks and they couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
They needed to do something to reach the children, especially the ones that are kanaka mo'oli.
Yeah.
The ones that are family members that we know that they were much smarter than this, but they were looking for something that, you know,
Yeah.
that would appeal to them,
Right.
something that they would desire. And that was it. So my auntie Ku Kahakalau up on the Big Island,
Yeah.
she was the one, and Auntie Laura Thompson over here, they were Kuka, so they opened it like two sister schools.
Yeah. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So that's how I got involved, because then that school, I couldn't believe it. Any kind of protests, things that dealt with issues that were involving us and infringing on our rights, they got the children involved to where they'd show up, they'd testify, they'd protest, they'd get in, they'd learn the mechanics of the system and how to speak and make changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to be afraid. And that just totally blew me away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how my passion the power of children speaking from the na'au. You can't look away.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. And it just grabbed me. So anyway, this totally blew me away.
But okay. But to come to the place of independence is still different, because
Everybody's got their own idea of what is independence.
But some people just want for Kanaka Mo'o to have certain rights, but they're not looking at the nation, you know.
Everybody's got
another
their own
step.
recipe.
Yeah.
And
No, but how did you get to?
that point A to point B,
Yeah.
because I understood the mechanics behind. You see, while I was getting involved in this, I was getting involved with a lot of truther groups who are learning a way outside the circle of what's going on with New World Order, a lot of the heavy players and the mechanics behind that. I was heavy into MySpace. I had a lot of truther friends who would keep me informed of things that I never knew about.
What are truther friends?
These are people that speak of things that are going on that the regular sheeple do not know about. Like the Rothschilds and
Oh, right.
New World
Okay.
Order and
Okay. I
all
didn't know
those
they had
fun
a line.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned a heck of a lot through that. And I just didn't take one word for one thing and another. I did a lot of investigating and noticed a lot of similarities as what they were saying. And when we start talking about thousands talking about the same thing, you know this, something might be a little bit right to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's how I got involved in it. And then for some crazy reason, we got a computer, a desktop. Our kids were doing it at school. We figured out why not. I was scared to heck out of it. I didn't know how to operate it. It was like a funny, funky gadget, But I watched my children on there, this, that, and boom, boom, boom. So I started fooling around, and that's how I got into the internet and into MySpace and Truthers and things like that. But I also downloaded a free program called PaintShop Pro. And that's when I discovered the artist in me. And this is how I discovered how I could make my messages and bring them to life. Through using that, I could make animations. This is all self-taught. I didn't realize that they had groups actually on MSN that was teaching this crap. I could kick myself. Finally, I happened onto one of those places. And I go, wow, they're teaching this stuff. Wow, and I had to pull my hair how many times, and it was just crazy. So I joined the thing, and I turned in one piece of art that I made myself. I became, all of a sudden, they wanted me to become assistant manager of the group, and they had over 2,000 some odd people on there.
Wow.
And they wanted me to teach them stuff that was secondhand to me, but it came through just constant at it. I was in putting out the truth, but how do I get people to pay attention? Was through my art. I started doing a lot of art, and people going, wow, sharp, and starting to grab it. And then Maoli World opened up by Ikaika Hussey, which was like a MySpace, but this is more for the Kanaka Maoli.
Yeah.
So this is where I really utilize my art to then grab people and then to help educate them as to what's going on in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was my East in the hole. And to my demise, my desktop finally locked up, and boom, went my art. So, but I had like thousands and thousands of work on what is it, Photo Bucket. So I could just pop something in there. I had an ample amount to use. But I couldn't make any more. So if I had something coming up that I was against, that was cut. I was getting involved with some groups like Lynette and James and some other groups, checking them out, what they were about. But I really I really had a good feeling with Lynette's group. So I kind of stuck and hung with them. And I'd never seen anybody that I admire more than would be Lynette Cruz and what she's about. But that's a whole new, different zillions tales. But
Yeah.
I do. If anybody I really respect, it would be her. Through her, she lost her husband, both of them were at it together.
Yeah.
And she didn't lose direction after he passed. She used that as a further commitment to carry on, I believe. And that's even where I even more respect her for all the obstacles that she's faced. And I think she's helped to really bring a more of a lightning with me and a more of a passion. But she was the one, and James got me into videoing and documenting. So that's how I got into doing that.
Wow, because whenever there's protests or some kind of event, you're there filming it, uploading it.
And that was James. So he,
That's where he was
I
the
didn't
computer
know
person.
about it, but
Yeah.
that sneaky guy passed some of his heart to me, and I didn't even want So,
So you feel this is your way to, I guess, to participate and to move the struggle forward.
I see it in many folds. I see it to educate, because you're not going to get it at school. You're not going to get it over the news. You're
Yeah.
not going to get it off of media. I feel what I do, I'm giving it down flat and straight. And it's for you to decide what color you want to paint it. I had a lot of hate. Because I had a lot of things that I still had to deal with inside. I don't like the program that's rickshaw, the Turtle Island, so-called United States of America, Hawaii, Afghanistan, Iraq, moving on to Iran.
Yeah.
It's all the same hell. It's all the same program. It's all the things about the 1% are the superior beings who feel that everybody else is subhuman and should be considered slave or cattle to be used as such. And this is where my passion kicks in, because I care about my children and their children's children and about my Aina. And I do not like what I see. And I want to stop it as soon as possible, but there's not enough of me. So this is why I do video. And it's to get the word out, to let other people know my battles and or our battles, but also my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what's nice is, you have a lot of like videos you upload, but they're in different parts. I don't know, because I don't know why, but then it strings together the story and your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying my video's been getting better, and I even think so. I'm kind of getting out of that hate thing and more of a open and just letting it flow and for it to speak for itself, and not so much trying to warp it or bend it to my direction to get people to see my eyes. I'll let them use their eyes.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Well, it's how you frame things, how you put things. Media can do a lot of funky stuff, and it's how you put things and word it, or there's a lot of they.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is what this is the
Yeah.
game, man. So
Okay.
it's I before I put in a lot of my words,
In the
yeah,
video.
in the video.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and now I'm laying off of that and just kind of letting the videos speak for themselves. And
Yeah.
if the people can't get it, well, that's all right. Maybe next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not so imperative. Like before, I thought it was, oh, we gotta do it now. We gotta do it now.
Yeah.
Where now it's, you know, I take it with a, you know, with a, well, teaspoon of sugar. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it, I'm not God. I can't save the world. And I'm starting to realize that. Before I'd put it on my back and I'd go to war with it. And now I kind of just leave it at home and what comes, comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, well, this wasn't meant to be. Nothing to, you know, lose sleep over or pull up my hair.
Yeah.
The world still spins, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to add, because we're coming to the close of the interview, of what you want to say about your life or issues or anything that you feel?
Yeah. I don't know. People gotta really start looking up and looking down. Because whether they know it or not, we're being poisoned from the ground up and from the air down. This is done through Monsanto. They're spraying our skies 24/7. It's around the world. It's not only in one area. It's where they occupy, where they have bases. And what they're spraying in there is poison. What they're putting in our ground, in our water, is poison. All that stuff that's up there comes down there, goes in us. We drink it, we breathe it. It's aluminum particles, among other things, which is deadly poisonous. So we're dying by increments and we're not realizing it. When you look up at the sky, do you see a true blue or do you see a white blue?
Yeah, white, blue, yeah.
You're not going to see a true blue anymore. A lot of people don't understand that. These particles that they're spraying up there stay up for years before it layers down, but they're constantly putting up new ones and new ones and new ones. And they're not just like chemtrails. They have it where they make huge cloud banks that just float in and float over. So, again, you know, I might be crazy, but I think if you guys are smart, you'll Google and YouTube chemtrails, chem clouds, Monsanto, GMO, Roundup. Know what the game is, because your life is not in their best interest. If you know what New World Order is about, the bottom line on theirs is to get rid of at least 90% of the world population. And they have it in print. Now, you go and you take a look at the presidents and their statements from Bush on down, all of them saying, we're going into a New World Order.
Yeah.
Buckle up, whether you like it or not. George Bush,
Yeah.
Senior.
Yeah. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't kidding. This is
Yeah.
even farther back.
Yeah.
This is how they had planned. So you look around what's happening to this world and how chaotic it is. This is right in line of what they had planned to have happen. So if you guys know what the game is and you understand and you follow the book, you know that they're already ahead of schedule. And you know that we're not looking too good right now. That's all.